Welcome to the Liberated Leader podcast. I'm your hostess, B. Chan. Together, we'll connect with leaders in the psychedelic space and explore the creations they birthed into this world, all in hopes to bring the psychedelic renaissance into the 21st century and spread the message of inner healing. Because when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. So, let's get liberated. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. So over the weekend, I was watching this Netflix documentary. It's called This Changes Everything. So This Changes Everything is a documentary that takes a closer look at gender disparity in Hollywood through the eyes of well-known actresses and female filmmakers. So Gina Davis, Meryl Streep, Shonda Rhimes, Reese Witherspoon, Chloe Grace Moretz, Natalie Portman, like a bunch of like really well-known people. And so I found it really interesting because they were saying like the roles for women way back when, like, for example, when like Marilyn Monroe and even like before her time, they were just really casted as one particular thing, like either as like a sex symbol or like ornament in the movie. And like, there's just not a lot of roles for females. Like even nowadays, if you look at Disney movies, the ones that we grew up on, right? Like in the early, late 80s, early 90s or something like that. It's all, yes, they're all princess themed, but it's always like the damsel in distress. And even movies and series nowadays, it's, I think like one lady to like 5 guys. So like a cast of all men is normal. A cast of all female, there's just not so much there. And as I was watching this in my brain, I drew a parallel to how the psychedelic industry is actually shaping up right now. Yes, there seems to be a lot more females, but if you take a look at any list of speakers in a summit or a conference in the psychedelic world, it's usually a lot of like older Caucasian men. Like, where are people that look like me? Where are the women of color or the BIPOC members? There aren't so much, and that's really unfortunate. I also have a lot of hope in this industry because I do feel that, we're in 2022 now, we're in the future. I also think that people are that much more collaborative in building this industry and forming this wider community. And women, we get to come here at the space level and actually build this industry with our male counterparts to the vision that we want, to see. And let me link you to this video that my really good friend Dana made. It's basically like 20-something ladies, myself included, who talked about our vision of women in psychedelics and what does that look like. And I think it's really fascinating because a lot of the things that we say are very similar, And much like this documentary, This Changes Everything on Netflix, they're saying that there has been successes. There has been a Thelma and Louise was a hit, and that changed things a little bit, but not really. It made a big splash, and then there was some momentum for change, and then it just like dropped back down. Same with like the Me Too movement, I think. It made a big splash, and like, certain things were changed right afterwards. And then now we kind of like don't really talk about it anymore. So I'm hoping that my wish is for that to not be the case in the psychedelic industry. And hopefully more and more women are encouraged to take up space, to take up the space, to have our voice heard, to have the respect that our male counterparts have, and continue to be a stronger collective voice in this industry. So yes, that's my musings for today. Again, leave a comment. Again, I'm experimenting, I'm exploring with these segments right now. Leave a comment on YouTube or message us on IG at Akita Agency and let us know if this is something that you like, what can be changed. If you don't like it, what can be changed? How do I make it better? I'm here to continue to spread the message of healing, of community, of creation. And I would very much appreciate your input in building this together. And that wraps up this week's Random Reflection. The Liberated Leader podcast is brought to you by Akita, a kick in the ass agency. We specialize in helping female psychedelic coaches who want to impact a global community by evolving their heart-based business to reach more people and fucking change the world. We are the first growth consultancy that provides website, branding, and evergreen funnel solutions at the intersection of marketing, technology, and design. As a complimentary gift to our listeners who are interested in the healing potential of psychedelics, we personally curate an ever-growing list of psychedelic coaches, guides, therapists, and clinics in North America that meet our standards of operation for you to have a safe, guided, intentional journey with. Just click on the link in the show notes and enter your email to get access. And now on to the conversation with this week's podcast guest. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Liberated Leader podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Robin Devine, and she is the founder of Black People Trip, a grassroots organization that serves the needs of the Black psychedelic community through education and advocacy. She is the co-founder of the online community, the Black Psychedelic Collective, which is an information hub of psychedelic resources by Black educators. In addition, she serves as a safety, equity, and accessibility consultant for companies that serve in the Black community in the wellness space. Her latest initiative, the Black Psychedelic Equity Fund, was organized to create more access and equity in the psychedelic space for the Black community. Welcome to the pod, Robin.
Thank you so much, Bia. And I was a lot of Black. I guess I want to be clear on who I serve. So I think that's pretty clear. Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing. Well, I'm super interested and excited to be talking to you because I really don't see a lot of people or a lot of like BIPOC women in our space. And once I was connected to you, I definitely wanted to help put a spotlight on all the amazing things that you're doing.
Thank you for that. I'm always glad to share the message and have a platform to spread the word. So thank you for the space to do that.
Yeah, all my pleasure. Why don't we jump into like how you came to be in the psychedelic space?
Sure. So I'm actually fairly new here. I've been here about 2 years. I found these medicines, I think it was summer of 2020. I was basically really depressed and I was on, I think at that point, 5 psych meds and a lot of therapy and was getting worse. And one day my therapist said, now, if you start feeling more suicidal, let me know. And I was like, wait a minute, that's the wrong direction. So I started looking for options to mental health healing. And I found psychedelics online. Didn't know what they were, but started doing my own research into how to find them, how to use them, found a guide, took a trip, and was hooked from that first trip. It was like, this is not a cure-all, but it gives me hope that there's better out there for me and for my mental health. So
amazing. And what was the medicine that you tried?
MDMA and mushrooms. So I went right in and did both. So,
oh, you just stacked it together. That's amazing. Yeah. And have you just stuck to those two since then, or have you tried some other ones?
I've tried other ones. So I've tried, let's see, combo, which is not really psychedelic, but it's in that same healing family. LSD is fun. And that's it for now. I want to try ketamine. I've done ayahuasca, but many, many years ago, but I want to do it again with a more intentional mindset. So yeah, but I want to do it all. I'm very open to whatever's out there. So
me as well. I am, so I'm preparing for my trip down to Mexico. Yeah. And what's really been calling me is mescaline. So San Pedro Peyote. Oh. And I hear that is, so most of the ones that I've tried, basically the list that you just listed out right there, I've tried all of those ones and they seem to have more of like a feminine energy, which is amazing because it gets me more in touch with mine. But, mescaline is more of like a grandfather type energy is what I'm hearing. So I'm really curious to see how that kind of, plays out on me.
I didn't know that about mescaline. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's so funny how they all have their own energy. Like, I love that about these medicines. Like, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. There's, from what I know, grandmother Aya is obviously feminine, right?
Yeah.
And so grandfather would be masculine, and then the mushroom is child. And then I think everything else, they do have more tendencies to lean between one or the other, but I don't quite really know what that is. Maybe some of the lab ones don't have a certain energy to them.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they would. I think it's more the, ones from the earth,
the
medicine.
Yeah.
And mushrooms are a kid, like that makes sense. They're very playful. So that tracks. Yeah. That's so funny.
100%.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. I also have not done ketamine yet.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. Just like the whole thing where I don't know, I think some people snort it up their nose, or you can get like a drip or like you spray it or something like that up your
Yeah.
nose. Like anything to do with this nasal area, I'm just like not,
Okay.
no. It's like,
No, I get it. I get it.
mm-mm.
When I did a combo a few weeks ago, they did hape or rape, I don't know how to say it, which you snort, and that was so uncomfortable. So I totally get that.
That is definitely where I came from because I actually did combo. That was my first, I guess, like medicine into the whole healing space 3 years
Oh,
ago.
okay.
And it was okay the first
Mhm.
time, but like I've done it a couple of times in other ceremonies, and each time I'm just like, I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I just don't get
I,
it.
I don't either, but I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
It's like, yeah, it's part of the whole thing. Okay, fine.
Okay,
I
fine,
will accept
fine.
it, but I don't
Yes,
have to like it.
I feel the exact same way. Yes. So,
Amazing. So tell us a bit more about like how you found, all these different initiatives. Like which one came first? Was it Black People Trip and then you found the community
yeah,
and then the collective and then the fund? And how does it all kind of like, play into
that
each other?
that's it. So the first thing was the online space on Instagram, Black People Trip. And I made it because I wanted to find other Black folks in this space that were into the medicine, and I couldn't find any. I guess most of them were either underground or just not very visible. And so I said, I want to create a space where we can all come together and find each other. So I went online, made a page, and people showed up. They were like, this is needed. And so that kind of became kind of a safe space for us. And it's kind of grown from there. And yeah,
So
because
in terms of you didn't find any like Black practitioners or like users.
yeah, both,
Mhm.
both. So my very first guide was a white woman. I just found her through an acquaintance, someone I didn't really know. And it wasn't really a great trip. It was a lot of microaggressions, a lot of harm in the session. So I knew that I wanted a Black guide for next time. And I looked for like months and could not find one. So I said, no, this is not good. So, but yeah, so I just wanted to make it easier for others to find guides that they felt safe with. So,
That's really interesting. I think I totally relate in terms of, I'm trying to find people who look like me in this space.
mhm,
And there's a handful, right? But there isn't a lot of them.
right.
There's a lot more users that kind of, are
Mhm,
brave enough to come forth to be like, I'm really curious, or like, I tried it once, right?
right.
I see those. Still not a lot, but I see them. But in terms of practitioners or, like guides or, facilitators and whatnot, yeah, definitely not too many. So I
No.
feel you.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, I think because, a lot of them still are illegal, these medicines, or they're underground, the people. So they're hard to find. Even if they are out there, they're
Mm.
not visible. So,
Yeah, 100%. So
yeah.
what happened after you put up that, Instagram page and people started reaching out and like, what did you find? What happened?
I just felt into what the need was that people were wanting to come there for, and it was basically information, education. So I started just teaching there, just very basic intro things that I wanted to learn about and that I didn't know when I first started. So yeah, I became an educator overnight, and then people began to email me saying, "Do you know someone?" So I started to become a connector of people, helping people find guides and safe spaces. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Just teach and build bridges.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
what kind of topics would you say that you teach on?
Really any and everything, just how to trip alone, how to vet a guide, what are mushrooms, what's a good dose. So just very basic intro things. Like I said, that I didn't know when I first got here, that I was like, what am I doing? Those questions. I teach about those things because people don't know.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And if you can give us a more specific picture of like the interest and demand out there, the Black community in this space, like what can
Yeah.
you quantify that? Like, what does that look like?
I can think of it in terms of like how the page growth.
Mhm.
And in about a year and a half, I had 5,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, so it grew very quickly. It was all organic. I wasn't out there promoting. I was just like showing up and people found it. And I think because I think my the name helped
Yeah.
because it's very clear
Yeah.
on what I do and who I serve as opposed to like Earth Mother Medicine. Like that's great, but you don't know what I do or who I am. So I think the name really helped to draw people in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
100%. And the page is the Instagram page, right? The account?
It no longer exists. It was shut down. I got trolled by racists who were not appreciative of my work, and I got shut down overnight. Yeah. So
No
I tried to
way.
rebuild, but it's not the same. So it's kind of a very small closed page now, but the vibe is gone of what was there before. So I'm
Right.
feel sad about that.
I definitely hear that happening to, certain people in our space as well. Like, for example, Lauren Dawn, who's also, a facilitator and a coach in our space, her Instagram account got shut down, but she was somehow able to get it back with all her followers and posts intact.
Great. I appealed every day for 3 months straight and nothing. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Do you know what the trigger was? Just somebody who like wrote a complaint or something, or?
Yeah, a whole bunch of racists found it in the same day and they all reported it. So it was like a mass reporting on their part.
Oh my
And I got
God.
reported for hate speech. So I talk about decolonization and about serving Black people and having safe Black spaces. And they thought that was excluding them. So racist got me.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you said that it kind of organically grew, were you quite active? Like, were you posting every day, multiple times a day type thing?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I was there like 3 or 4 times a day just because
Wow.
it gave me energy and people were like engaged and it was just a really vibrant, active space. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
And so what would you say is the difference between, going with a white, I guess, facilitator versus a Black facilitator?
For me personally, with someone who's Black, I don't have to teach them how to care for me well. I'm not worried about microaggressions. Just because we had that shared lived experience, there's more of a sense of safety with them. Not that I don't or can't trip with white folks, because I do. My favorite guide was a white woman, different one, but she was trauma informed. She was very aware of her own biases and had done her own work to become a safe space, a safe facilitator. So it just depends on who you feel safe with. And for me, generally, it's Black people for the most part. So it's
Yeah, for sure. When you say microaggressions, can you give me some examples of that?
yeah, definitely. So one is always the hair. People want to touch Black people's hair. I don't know why. I mean, it's like, this is just, don't do it ever in session and the real world, just don't do it. So I get a lot of that. I get a lot of having to explain things. Like I remember my very first session was around the time of the George Floyd murder. In our conversation beforehand, she really centered her feelings about how it affected her. And I was like, this is not really your space. This is my space to heal. And it's not really about you, but she made it entirely about her, which was very harmful to me as a Black person, as someone that was just really wanting to focus on my healing, not her feelings.
Would you say that's more about like cultural unawareness or like insensitivity?
I would, because I feel like white folks that have done their work to, unlearn bias and become sensitive and competent wouldn't do things like that. They would have an understanding that it's not about them and to create a safe space for their client.
Definitely. So you mentioned that, there would be some things that you wouldn't want to teach your facilitators and whatnot. What are some examples of those?
Like if I say something if I bring up an issue of race, I don't want to explain like, yes, it really was about race. It wasn't just me imagining it. Whereas if I say it to the Black person, they'll be like, oh, okay, I get that. But I find that white folks are sometimes questioning, like, are you sure that it was that? That to me is having to do emotional labor and teach, which I don't want to do, in session especially.
Yeah, that's interesting. And would you say that you've had to do that quite often? Like when you are the, person going for healing? That's so interesting.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's exhausting. I mean, because I do it every day in regular life. And in session, I really do not want to do it. I just want to focus on me and my process. So
Wow,
no.
that's so funny. I mean, I'm obviously not white, but I also think, there's a little bit of so I'm up in Canada and you're in the US. And I think in the US, you guys have a longer standing and more deeply ingrained kind of history of, slavery and, colonization, all that type of stuff. And but up in Canada, we've had that too, but not to the degree that you guys have. So I don't think it's super, in our history or in our blood or in our, culture as much. And the fact that I am out in Vancouver, which is like the most Asianist place in Canada. Yeah, there's a little bit of, even though I'm also not white, I also don't, 100% have experienced some of the things that you've experienced too. So it's super interesting for me to kind of hear from your perspective, what you have to go through and have gone through.
Yeah, it's a lot in the States that we that Black folks have to deal with. So I'm trying to eliminate us having to deal with it in session as well, So.
Yeah. Wow. So after you founded Black People Trip, how did that kind of snowball into all the different like collectives and the fund and like all that?
Yeah, the collective came out of me losing my IG page because I was like, well, I want to rebuild, but I don't want to do it here because it doesn't feel safe here because it can happen again at any moment. And I don't want to keep a page closed. So I moved it offline. So it's at a secure space. So that's how that came from. The fund is I saw the need for Black folks to have more help to pay for these medicines because they're expensive. Ketamine can cost thousands, retreats can cost tens of thousands, education can cost equally as much. And I don't want it to be a barrier for us, the price of the medicine. So
Okay, so with the fund, I mean, that's super interesting because I totally agree. Like this stuff is expensive. To heal it is expensive. It doesn't have to be, but if we're in super developed countries, kind of yes. So with the fund, like how does that work? Who I guess donates to it, and then how do the receiving party actually get the fund?
yeah, so the fund is actually super new. It's maybe a month, 2 months old. So I'm still kind of building donors and a fund base. But how I would see it working is people will come to me with 3 needs, and it can be a need for help with paying for the medicine or the therapy or retreat, help with container of care cost, which involve like travel and lodging, or help with educational fees. So that they give me what they need, who they want to go see, where they want to go to attend, and I write them a check or I pay them directly to the person, the facilitator. And I want it to be a very easy, low stress, no having to put your trauma on display kind of process. You tell me what you want to do, you give me a number, I write you a check. I want it to be very easy and clean. So
Okay. That's super great. I mean, I haven't heard of a fund like that before. How does it work? Like, I guess on your end, do you pre-vet some of the facilitators or the retreats that these people go to? And then what's like the eligibility criteria of the receiving party?
yeah, no, I don't vet. So I want people to find who they're comfortable with and find their own person. If they need help doing that, I can support them in that, but I don't vet their person. I would want them to do that. But I do have, like I said, an ongoing list of people that I can refer them out to. As far as eligibility or criteria, there really isn't any. It's just to have the desire to go and need help to do it. That's it. So again, I don't want people to have to feel like they have to prove how worthy or needy they are. They just have to have the desire, and that's it. I want to support it. So
I guess the one criteria is they have to be Black.
Black, yes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But it hurts my heart because I had a BIPOC sister reach out. She was a Latin descent, and she was like, "Do you know of any funds to help me pay for education?" And I was like, "I don't, but let me go look." So I wish it could be open to everybody, but I had to really narrow it down to
Yeah.
keep the focus for now. But maybe one day
Yeah.
it'll expand. I would love it to be BIPOC in general. But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Start a bit more niche and then expand
that
once you find that success. Yeah.
that's the goal because we need more Black and brown faces in these spaces. Our voices are so needed. Like
Yeah.
I applied for a program recently, and they offer scholarships. I think a handful, but there are like 10 of us applying for those 2 scholarships. 10, and I'm like, we should all be in that program. We should all be paid to come to your program to
Mhm.
create more diversity and more equity. But
Yeah. Where do the funds come from?
right now, private donors. I'm hoping I have nonprofit status in the works. So hopefully once that's solidified, I'll be able to get bigger donors. I'm really targeting these big corporations that have tons of money, and that are doing research and wanting to do good with that money. So I'm hoping to partner with a lot of them going forward. So we'll see.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's a great initiative. Super interesting to me is like your the nonprofit status that's in the works. Which I guess like project have you picked to be the nonprofit, and then what was the process in setting up, or is the process in setting up to become a nonprofit?
Yeah, so that'll be actually the equity fund will be the nonprofit. To start, I'm going to be fiscally sponsored by a bigger organization so that I can still receive funds as a nonprofit, but while I get my own paperwork together because it takes months to like do your own. So I'm applying with a bigger firm. Once I get approved for that, then I'll start doing my own things to be official. So if that makes sense.
It doesn't to me so far, just because I don't know anything about this world. But so let me ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
No, I'm very new here too. I'm still learning as I go. So totally get it. Yeah.
So in terms of like, is this normal to be under a bigger firm first?
It is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's very there's a lot of admin things to be done, and those bigger firms, whoever's sponsoring you, handles that part of it. So like your taxes are good, all your donations are in line and order, everything is lined up for you. They do that part for you. So I just fundraise and disperse funds.
Gotcha.
Once I'm up and running, I'll have a team to help me do those things, but for now they handle that, or they
Gotcha.
hopefully will.
Yeah. Where do
It's a
you
lot to
find?
do.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Well, it's just like running any other business, right? Yeah.
That's it.
Um,
Yeah.
how do you find the sponsor, I guess?
I just asked my community, asked my friends, people that were running nonprofits, like who did they get sponsored by? And then I emailed those people. So it's just
Got it.
asking into my circle.
Got it. And I guess the sponsor also has to be a nonprofit in that space.
Not in the space, but like somewhat aligned is helpful. You know, if they're in the wellness space or if they're aligned with what your vision is, that helps, but they don't have to be. So.
Gotcha. Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's the case in Canada as well. Because for my Vancouver Women in Psychedelics, we're definitely talking about going that direction too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
it's very helpful to have someone to like show you the ropes, like someone bigger, more established to, yeah.
yeah. Question about, so in terms of like paperwork and whatnot, is the reason why it's taking longer because there's just like a lot of it to do? There's like a lot of hoops that you got to jump through, or?
Yeah, you have to be very clear on, your mission, your vision, who you serve, your budget. You have to have a board in place, have to find people that will help you run it. So it's just lots of moving parts that just take time.
Wow, that sounds so annoying.
It's very annoying. And like, I don't have time to do paperwork all day. So I'm like doing a little bit here, a little bit there. So it's taking me months to get it done.
Right.
I'm getting
That's so funny. It's like, I'm just trying to change the freaking world.
I mean,
why are you trying to slow me down, huh?
Like, can I just go and do it? Just give me money to go do it?
Yeah. Just trying to make money so I can change the freaking world. Why you gotta slow me down?
And taxes and forms and oh no, I just want to do good.
All this stuff.
Do good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But what are some perks of becoming a nonprofit, would you say?
Big donors are more willing to get to a nonprofit because they can get, the tax write-off. Yeah, they get that benefit. So that's the main thing. And then people know that the money is going where you say it's going, because you have to account for, your budget and what you disperse, and it's very much open book what you're doing with your funds. So people do like that when they're giving to something like a organization. So
gotcha.
It just gives credibility.
Yeah. For sure. In terms of the sponsors, as a nonprofit, like once you get that status, do you still have to go out there and like find the sponsors yourself, or is there some sort of another company that kind of does that for you, like people who donate to your nonprofit?
Oh yeah, that's going to be on me. So I have to go out and write letters and do fundraisers and be sociable. That's going to be my part.
And be sociable.
Yeah, that's not really my niche, but I'm going to work on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Wow. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about the Black Psychedelic Collective. I guess, who are the type of people that would go there, and then what would they find?
Right now, everyone's there. So people that want to learn, people that want to teach. It's a place for therapists and guides can post their information. People can find them. I post retreats there so people know what's happening. But the thing is that everything that's posted there is either for, by, or about Black people. So every retreat is run by a Black facilitator or centers Black people. every article, every book, everything is by Black folks. So if you want to learn or share, it's a space for you. So.
Wow, that's amazing. And how many would you say, because I know that you were saying you're keeping a list of, referrals that you can, refer out to and whatnot, like to give us a picture, like how many people is that?
Right now I have about 20, I'd say, people that I know personally that I refer out to. But that list is slowly growing as I meet more people and make more connections and really vet people. So.
Right. How do you go about vetting them?
Good question. A lot of word of mouth. People talk in this space, I'm sure, as you know. So it's just seeing people that have sat with them, people that they work with, and just talking to folks. It's a slow process, but worth it and needed.
100%. What would you say are some things, or like maybe the most important thing, the biggest thing that we as a collective can do to encourage more like BIPOC members or, Black people, or like even just like females or non-binary people into the psychedelic space?
Yeah, I think it's things like this. It's like getting our voices out there. So it's doing the podcast, it's writing the article, it's doing that IG page, it's doing your YouTube channel. It's just whatever platform works for you. Get out there and share your message, share your story, share your voice, because someone is watching and needs to hear that. So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, amazing. What would you say, since you started this, big undertaking, what would you say are like the top one or two things that's happened to you that you're like, wow, I just can't believe that happened?
Oh, let's see. Okay, the two very, very different things. But the first thing was my very first trip with MDMA and mushrooms was the first time that I felt like self-love. And that was like wild to me. I was like, wait a minute, I can like myself. So that was like mind blowing to me. And the second thing was 2 weeks ago, I got invited to speak at Wonderland. And I had no idea what that was, but I looked into it and I was like, well, this is a big deal. So I felt kind of like I'm doing good here. People are seeing what I'm doing, and that's recognized. So that was pretty cool. So yeah.
Wow, that is super cool. How did it just like randomly reach out to you?
Yeah, good old LinkedIn. They were like, we love
Good
your
old
work. Want to come speak? And I was like, wait a minute, this is a big deal. So
wow. So did they cover your I guess like accommodation and flight?
they said they will. They said everything is covered. A lot of big donors there, so I have a good chance to raise some money. And it's not my crowd at all, like the tech guys, and that's so not me. So I'm a little out of my element, but I'm excited to go.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Oh, when is that happening?
November 5th, I think, in Florida, in Miami.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I thought it happened already just recently too. And it was like last November.
Yeah.
So, oh, wow, they're reaching out already. And it's like in, more than 6 months from now.
Yeah, they're getting ready. So,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. That's a really
Thank
big deal
you.
for sure. And have you given any thoughts to what your topic's going to be? Or will you be on a panel or something?
No, I'm gonna be on the main stage. So 2,000 people. I'm like freaked out about that, but it's good. It's good. It's gonna be great. My topic is gonna be how to create equity in this space without scholarships and sliding scale. So how to do that.
Oh, wow. Can you give us like a little synopsis of that? How do we do that?
Yeah. So
because I'm also sorry to cut you off, but I'm not a fan of sliding scale. Yeah, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No. So my thing is, and actually I already do it in Italy. So it can be done. This I know for sure. When someone goes through a session, say ketamine, whatever, therapy, there's a little box on their form that says, if you want to donate a session, check here, or either donate amount of money, so that there's a fund that's growing. So when someone comes in and says, I want to come, but I can't pay, not even sliding scale, there's like, great, you're covered. It's been paid for. So the therapist is still being paid, but not by the person that is under-resourced, if that makes sense. Like in Italy, they call it suspended coffee. And when people go to buy a coffee, they'll say, put one on the books on my account. I'll buy two. So there's, they have one and there's one on the books for someone who can't afford it. So
it's a cultural thing in Italy.
It's just paying it forward. Yeah. People that can pay more, and those that can't, don't.
What is it called again?
Suspended coffee. That's like,
Suspended coffee.
yeah, yeah.
I've
And I
never
feel
heard of that before.
that can be applied to everything.
Mm.
You go to the go to get your tires changed. Bank a tire for someone who needs it.
Mhm.
Bank a oil change. It can be used across the board, I believe. So
Yeah. Well, I've definitely heard of that before in terms of just like paying it forward. Something new for me was learning that, it came from like an Italian background. I think that's super cool.
yeah,
What's another way that we can build sustainability without scholarships or donations or sliding scale?
I think these big companies need to really open their wallets and pay for the therapy of folks that are under resourced. Because a grant of $10,000 or could change lives for so many people. So I think that we need to really get the money funneled from the big corps to the smaller guys. That would be how to do that. Not sure yet, but it needs to redistribute the wealth a little bit in
Yeah,
this space.
100%. Question about how when you talk to sponsors, what does that conversation look like?
Like donors.
Yeah, donors, sorry.
Oh no, a lot of them, they want to know, why is this important?
Mm.
Like, why are you doing this? And I say, well, Black folks in this country are traumatized for a number of reasons, and we need support to heal that. And that's why I do this. So a lot of them are on board with that, but they're not quite convinced that my way will work. So, but I'm undeterred, so I will keep at it, because this is important to me. I think it's viable. So
Mhm.
it's needed.
And I guess what is the way that you've been explaining to them?
Just mainly about the ways that we've been traumatized in this country and how it impacts our everyday life and functioning. And I really break down and give them stats on what that looks like and how it's really devastating our communities and our physical wellness, our mental health, our finances. It just breaks down every part of who we are. And I really try to highlight and explain that in terms that they can understand. Because rich white guys don't get it. They don't know what it's like to so I have to really explain, like, no, this is how, and I use me as an example because
Representative?
this is my life. Like, I am under resourced. I've been homeless before. I below the poverty line. So this is my life. This is my
Mhm.
story. And I share that with them very openly. So
Mhm.
they can connect with that, I hope.
Yeah.
So,
And so what's the ask for them, I guess?
however they want to show up and support, that's welcome. I haven't had too many yeses yet, but again, this is I'm not deterred because I feel like it's coming. So I'm
Mhm.
just gonna keep asking, keep doing the emails and the calls and the meetings, and eventually I'm gonna get a yes. So I'm just
Well,
ready
I
for it.
think I think it's already like, you having people be responsive and then setting the time to have a meeting with you. And these people represent those bigger companies. I think that's already like a win to be like, yes, I got the attention of somebody. And
Yeah,
now just focusing on having that conversation or having or presenting it in a certain way and testing how you're presenting it to them to make sure that, you're getting closer to your goal.
yeah, that's it. I mean, this is not my lane. I'm not a fundraiser. I'm not a pitch person. So I'm learning this. I'm kind of trying to hone my skill of like presenting to businesses, and so I'm taking it slow and just I'm learning, and I'll
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah,
So
for sure. So I'm still really curious about this. So like, you have a meeting, you open it up with them and letting them know, hey, this is where I'm coming from. I see that there's this huge gap and I would love for you to come in and help us out.
Mhm.
And you can do that by, donating to our fund or is that the main ask?
Yeah, pretty much. Some of them come back with other ideas of like, well, I don't want to donate, but I have this idea. And I'm like, well, yes or no. So
Yes, but
um
no.
yeah, like today I had to turn one down. It's like wasn't lining up with my value,
Yeah.
my visions. But yeah, and I give them my good old pitch deck of like just a little presentation, and then they get back to me. So I'm waiting on two now to see if they are gonna dive in. So fingers
Mm-hmm.
crossed.
And what kind of, just very curious, what kind of like pushback have you gotten so far? It's like, do they want to see exactly where the money will go and how you'll spend it?
They do, or they have very strict criteria of how they want it to be used. Like, well, they can only go to above ground ketamine clinics, or
Oh,
it'll only pay for therapy and not container of care, or not like travel costs. And I'm like, no, it has to pay for all of this, and they can go wherever they want. So they want to put it in a box, and I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not for that. So it has to be unrestricted funds to be used however I choose. So yeah.
And I guess you'll have to, like, once they do donate, you'll have to kind of like report back to them, I guess.
Not to them, but I will report to my board, who I will have, and also to my sponsor. They'll know. So all the money will be accounted for, but it won't be to the donors. It won't go towards them, but they will get it in the year report. So
right. Yeah. That's also an interesting thing that you just brought up. So, your board of directors as a, not nonprofit status, how do you go and like get a board? Do you just like reach out to people and just tell them your situation and ask them?
Yeah, it's just people that I've known for a couple of years in this space who our values line up. We're doing the same kind of work that's focused on community, and just see if they have space and interest, and a lot of asking. So and hoping they say yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, what do they have to do as a board?
They have to raise a certain amount of money.
Oh, they do.
They do. Yeah, they have to help me approve the requests that come in. They have to, like, again, fundraise on behalf of the organization. And that's pretty much it. Just help me raise money and approve the request is the main thing.
What kind of pattern do you see happening in our space right now? Like any trends and things like that?
I see it going very corporate, very medical model, very much insurance model focused, which does not work. Yeah, that's where it's headed, I think. So I'm trying to avoid having Black folks be a part of that. So I'm trying to keep it very community focused and heart centered, and not so much into the medical corporate model that's I see emerging.
And what makes you say that the insurance that doesn't quite work? Is it because
everyone won't have insurance? A lot of people don't have regular insurance. Why would they have insurance for psychedelics? It's just more gatekeeping. Like, everyone won't have that same access.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel like maybe our healthcare system's a little bit different up here in Canada versus the US.
Yes.
However, I do have to say, so we have like a basic, I think it's similar to Obamacare as far as I know, but we have like a basic one that everyone has. And then if you work for a good company that provides you a good extended health benefit, then it'll kind of cover like your health practitioners and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely not for, like, it'll cover therapy, like normal therapy, normal counseling. I don't even know if you can get trauma-informed therapists as part of that plan, but definitely like no psychedelics as far as I know, as far as I'm aware. Yeah.
Is that in the works anyway. Or is it like
I haven't heard of anything, to be honest. And I think before we federally roll out, legalization, I don't think that would change anytime soon, because finance and insurance are probably the two, and banking, right, are probably like the most like dinosaur industries that are like resistant to change.
Okay. Yours sounds way better than ours in healthcare wise. So that's
from what I know, and from what I know of benefits plan, and I worked in HR for like 7 years before, and I've had employees in the US, and I had to like arrange it for them as well. Yeah, I think that the state that's like closest to our basic Canadian one, even or even like, so I worked at a company where we had a manufacturing plant in Utah, so I had to take care of the employees down there as well. And their plan, which is apparently pretty good for US, is still like it's not up to par from what I'm used to up here.
I haven't had insurance in probably 10 years.
Wow.
And I am not uncommon. So it's like, it's a mess down here.
Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah.
You're not doing well.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me that you're originally from California, right?
I moved here from California. I'm from Virginia.
Okay. Yeah. Moved here from California. And California is the most progressive state in terms of, employment regulation or legislation. And that is the one that is like closest to whatever we have in like a basic model here in Canada.
A
but
basic, that's
still
so
like a little
sad.
bit, still a little bit like not quite there,
Oh, wow. We have so far
Yeah.
to go over here.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
struggling.
one thing in particular that I learned was something called at-will employment in the US, which is basically, just your normal, thing. But the fact that they can just fire you without letting you know, without any
Oh,
notice, without any reason at any time.
yeah. There's no safety net here at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. Which
None.
is like we don't do that. You cannot legally do that in Canada.
Yeah. See,
So either they give you notice or they pay you out. You can't just be like, I'm not giving you shit, get out right now,
no, we do so many things backwards here. This is a bad, bad place. So yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a dichotomy because, like US, the whole world looks at America as like, oh, you're leading, you're leading in so many different ways. Like you have Wall Street in New York City, you have Silicon Valley in San Fran, you have, Hollywood and LA and all these other things. But then in certain aspects, it's like, it's not,
No.
she's not leading the charge. It's like, okay,
No.
that's so weird.
I mean, like where it counts, which is like caring for people well, like homelessness and people being fed and having, enough money to live, we're failing miserably. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
very sad. I mean, I laugh because I have to, because it's so ludicrous how they treat people here. It's very sad to not, like, I work so hard, Bia. Like every day, I have no days off, and I still can't afford to live. It's like, what do they want me to do? And I am not special. This just happens to millions of people in this country. They work and work and work and still cannot afford to exist. It's terrible.
That's why we're moving down to Mexico.
That's it. That's why I can afford to live there. Like literally can afford to have a home and eat and have health insurance. Like what? So yeah, Mexico, November. Yeah.
I'll see you down in Merida.
Oh yes. I will be there in the fall, no doubt. So
amazing. So what are you working on right now? Like what's the next progression for you? What's next for you in your journey? And then how can our listeners support you in that?
what's next? Actually working on a book. So that's gonna be exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, that's just to again spread more information. How can they support?
Well, what's the book about?
Black people and psychedelics, and it's just again a very intro, information about psychedelics, and then how to do them safely, and just a guide for us by us, because there aren't any books by Black women out there that exist right now, and I want to change that. So
amazing. Have you started writing the outline? Do you have a title? When do you think it'll be done by?
Yeah, no, I have a publisher interested, so I have to get them a proposal actually by last month, but I will get it done by next month at the latest. So it's been very busy, but yeah, so I'm excited about that. So it'll be my journey, my story, and then just basic info and just where to go next from here, in this space.
That's super great. I mean, I'm getting more in contact with people who are authoring books more often. And so, it's just something that I've been hearing a lot from other people. And in a way, it kind of sparked my interest. I'm like, should I write a book?
Yes, you
like,
should.
It's like, well, what should I write about? I don't even know.
I mean, in your story, I mean, there are no voices like yours in a book form about this. Like, it's all 99% white men, and there are 2 by white women. 2. But like so, you and me, we'd be the first. There's nothing out there. It's wide open.
So funny. So basically our message is also white women, we need to step out. You need to step out and take some of that space too.
That's it. I mean, all women, because there are 2 books. I'm like, no, we can do better.
So funny. Yeah. How did you get in touch with your publisher, or did they reach out to you, or what was that story?
No, actually, a friend of mine in this space, they asked her to write a book, and she was like, nope, too busy. But we got a friend. So she sent them my way. I pitched them. They were like, okay, we dig that. So let me see what you got. So a friend being kind and sending them my way. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, well, definitely keep me updated on that progress, because I'm super keen and interested to hear.
Totally will.
And Yeah. So, right. How can our listeners support you?
The fund, they can donate. It's always helpful. They can also share my message. So like they can go online and find my work and share it in their spaces with other people. That's very helpful. Those are the main two ways. So, yeah.
Amazing. And where can they find you online? What's your website or Instagram handle and all that type of good stuff?
Yeah, so IG, my main one now is Divine Healing Trips online at my website, blackpeopletrip.com. And those are my main two spaces right now for online. So I'm trying to get offline. So that's what
Gotcha.
I
So if they were interested in the collective or the fund, would they be able to find that on blackpeopletrip.com?
They would, yes. Oh, that's a lie. They will be soon. So
They go coming soon.
give me like a day and I'll get that up. As far
Gotcha.
as joining the collective, join, just email me, which is on my website.
And Robin, is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we go?
Yes. So I did create a guide. It's called Creating Safer Space. And it's a guide for white therapists and facilitators who hold space for Black clients, which is how to create a safer environment for us physically, emotionally, and help us have a safer, more nurturing session. So that's available on my website. So that's been
Perfect.
well received so far.
Amazing. Is that also on Amazon as well?
No, on my website.
No, just the website.
Only
Okay,
on there. Yep.
cool. Sounds good. Cool. Well, I think that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much, Robin, for your time and for sharing your space, your presence, and your story here with us. I'm sure we all learned a lot today. I definitely have. I loved connecting with another fellow BIPOC female in the space because there's not very many of us. And yeah, I just want to make sure that I support you as best as I can because you do have a really unique story, and I do want to help you spread that.
Thank you, B. This has been amazing. This was so fun. So thank
Yes.
you for the chance to share.
Yes, amazing. My pleasure. Well, we will catch you next time then. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Liberated Leader podcast. If you found value in today's episode, then please, 1, leave us a positive review, share it with a friend. 2, join our tribe on social. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Until next time, to your liberation and beyond.